complex on the screen, healthcare in between. Physics, art, and math got us down this path. Historical tales come alive, where science and stories dive. Blended facts with heart, knowledge from the start. Need bridge blues we sing to the future memory. Health and science in the mix. Need got the fix. Complex subjects made
right
clear.
now
Every episode
in ways that we actually acquire
leads the way.
and ways that make me more efficient.
In the world of digital streams, turning knowledge into dreams. Through the tales of old, new stories unfold.
Thank you so much for joining with me. It is truly an honor and a privilege.
MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live podcast.
Hey, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm the host. You know that today subject is actually, I have a guest today. That his name is Wody Stammers. He's supposed to be from Austria, Vienna. He's supposed to join. He had a family emergency somewhere, so he could not able to join. So I asked another friend of mine, good friend of mine, Ursula Lentine. You know, I think she's perfect for the subject that I'm going to talk about. So what is the subject? It's going to be a very complex subject. I'm going to talk about a little bit of complexity. I had a hard time, even I struggled about it, understanding this complete way, but it took me a time to understand it. It is really, you have to put together, you have a polymath. Wody Stammers does an MBA in polymath. Polymath means understanding of different fields altogether. So you need that kind of understanding for this kind of a complex subject that I'm going to present. It's just you need to have a wide spectrum of knowledge in this area helps. A lot of people have confused about the really understanding the science behind the AI, science behind the physics, science behind what is something that going on behind the scenes. That is a real tough to present. I'm going to try my best. It is one of the complex subjects that I presented any time. It's going to be much complex than even quantum physics in my view. So it is a counterintuitive idea. It is very, it's not a counterintuitive. It's kind of hard to connect the dots together. But, one person can help us these dots together. Is my good friend Ursula Lentine. She's joining from Atlanta, Georgia. Let me bring her to the table. Welcome, Ursula. No, I cannot hear you. So turn on the... Work on it.
Now?
No, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the vote of confidence that I can navigate this complex situation and understanding. I'm taking notes already. Go ahead.
It is going to end up in our field. We start with our computers, complex computer knowledge, and then end up with you, with your kind of a background that was needed to understand this whole concept.
Okay,
That
bring it.
is the subject that I'm going to talk about. What
Wonderful.
is the subject? It's kind of a long subject that I'm going to talk. I'm going to bring the subject there. Let me bring that. We're going to watch together this together. Let me. Where is this? Yeah. Wait, let me bring this. Okay. So that is the subject that I'm going to talk about. I think. Oh no, this is better because you cannot see the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. What is this very strange wording I did? What is the artificial intelligence can become a doctor, complete doctor? What is a flock of birds says? No, that's like a stupid thing that you all think. But let me dive into the little bit of this strange philosophy of this process. So, Ursula, you can comment on anything. Ursula is a pranic healer. She is amazing in this direction. You know, this is a very strange phenomena emerged from the crowd, wisdom of the crowd. I tell you what happened. In the British mathematician, he did an experiment. He wants to bring bunch of cowboys like Texas. You know, you have nothing else to do. Guess the weight of an ox. So when you guess the weight of an ox, so he asked us to guess that he will give us some special prize or something like that. So everybody guessed it, but they guessed it wrong. Nobody came up with the right answer for that. So he collected all the data from all these cowboys, 4 or 5 cowboys, and what he did was he averaged all the cowboy. British mathematician is what he did was Francis Galton. You know, he's a crazy guy a little bit, but he came up with eugenics, and he has a wrong theory. Some of his theories are wrong, but in this one, the wisdom of the crowd, he was saying that all the average of all these 5 people is exactly the weight of the ox. So something from all of them came out some answer. You can extrapolate into this next thing. You know, everybody watch the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You know, there are 3 lifelines. If you know, there are 3 lifelines: is take 2 choices, ask an expert, ask audience. They give you 3 choices. You can rule out 2 choices, in fact, or ask an expert. You know what they found out is stunning. Is that 91% of the time, better than expert, better than 2 choices taken away, is the ask audience. How is dumbasses up there sitting down there? They cannot even compute 2 plus 2. How come they came up with a brilliant answer like a space questions? That is amazing. So when there is a wisdom of the crowd, that's what they call. There is something strange phenomena. That phenomena is a scientific explanation. Is a very the scientists struggle to come up with explanation for that. It is a very complex phenomena. There is a name for it. What is the name? So why there is something about this asking the crowd. A crowd, just a lot of data gathering, answers come out of the data. It's a very strange kind of a truth comes out of from absolutely dumb people or whatever. They have no clue what it is, but still a brilliant answer comes out. That is a really struggling. Scientists are bothered by that, actually. It is called, then you can extrapolate into the ants phenomena, ants colonies. It is called ants. You know what they do is the ants build a complex colonies. They behave very powerful behavior, and they build a complex colonies. They build a war, the defenders, the entire system of ant colonies create a very complex phenomena. How do they do that? How the stupid ants can do that? Really, that complex behavior. This is called emergence. You know, they may not know, but when they exhibit simply whatever they do. In this particular one, in the one in the picture that I can show you, what they do is a swarm intelligence. What a bunch of ants together. There's a food source there. I create a 1, 2, 3. First time they all go one way. They use a pheromone trail, a chemical they leave while they're doing. But they randomly go all the places for the food. But how do they know? How do they know that which one is the most efficient way? When they swarm in all the ways, in random ways, what it does is it does a very strange phenomena. They leave the pheromone trails, but the ones the shortest path back to the colony, yes, they can go back and forth more times than a wandering ant. So there is a more chemical signal leaves there in that path. So the other ones they see, they leave more chemical signals there. So it becomes a stronger and stronger, and all by the end of third line, they all straightened up, all of them lined up. So a simple behavior, random behavior, came up with the food source, and they organized a very phenomenon. This, in fact, the stupid ants taught us, this is called ants optimization algorithm. We have Amazon and all these routing structures. The airlines use the ants optimization algorithm to do the scheduling and the routine, internet scheduling and routine and swarming intelligence. It does. A complex behavior comes out of this, is called a phenomena called emergence. It is a very strange phenomena. So what is that emergence? So a simple rules produces a complex behavior. It is nothing to do with these rules. It is something comes out of black box. We don't know what that black box is. Flock of birds, for example, they create a phenomena, is a beautiful dance in the sky. But how do they know science? Do they know the mathematics? No. But the alignment and separation, they follow simple rules, come up with a complex behavior. There is a really struggling. That phenomena is not we do not understand that phenomena. That's a black box. It is called black box. That's called emergence. No access. This is my presentation is a last minute trial, and try to follow me a little bit. It is even for me it took me a while to really come to the grasp. So this complex behavior is a black box. They exhibit a strange phenomena without simple. These are not just automatic. There is nothing, no connection between the simple rules and the complex behavior. The two different worlds. That is a very strange process. So simple rules cannot explain. We cannot explain the simple rules with the complex behavior. That is called black box in the AI, artificial intelligence. We call black box because we don't have an understanding. So large number of objects and people create a complex behavior without thinking. That the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, for example, that's the created answers. They really understand basic. They don't know probably who is the president of the United States, but they answered the question who went to the space twice. So that's kind of a strange phenomena emerges from these black boxes. That is one of the huge challenge in the science. Scientists, physics is struggling with this problem. Still a big problem here. It is science struggling with this phenomena. It is a complex phenomena. So human brain is another complex phenomena. It is a black box. We don't. One of the things is consciousness arises from the human brain. A love, a hate, understanding, tasting, colors. All of them come out of this simple phenomena of neurons. Neurons does only one thing. They don't know neurons as a chemical signal. That's all. Sending a signal, receiving a signal. How can they behave? All of them together create a very complex world for us. That is a complexity. So human brain produces a consciousness is our thoughts and our thinking. It is a very complex phenomena. Black box is defined. If you see that the definition of the black box is the workings are not unknown, irrelevant, but whose inputs or outputs are observable. So this is a big problem. A black box is undefinable. We do not know. There's no connection between the initial process and the final output. That is called emergence. So what are these things they do? So there is a scientist, a very underrated scientist. He's still alive. His name is Stuart Kaufman. Stuart Kaufman. He suggested a long time ago is something about emergence. He said that the nature has this power of order between the order and disorder. There is a high entropy and low entropy. That's a life emerges at the edge of chaos. He's a center medical. He's a doctor. He's a medical doctor, and he's a physicist. He's a medical doctor. He went to the University of San Francisco right here, and then he teaches engineering. To be honest, he's a true polymath. He's a Santa Fe Institute. Is a very complexity. They explain the complexity in the Santa Fe Institute. That is he's a professor there. He was a long time member there. Study of complex systems. Transforming medicine. Elizabeth, he started with on his wife's name, Elizabeth Kaufman Institute. He started his name on his the wife would passed away. So what he's saying is there is something strange in the life, that input that the universe knows. Universe has that inherent knowledge of emergence. It is feeding back self-organization. What he's saying is universe has this chemical is self-organization and feedback loops. Self-organize something. All the red balls go together the same place. All the blue balls go to the same place. This kind of a self-organization has an inherent phenomenon in the universe. Like memory is one of them. So life is created from this chemical reaction by using the self-organization. The rules emerge. There are fundamental rules are not there. The rules emerge from the crowd. Rules emerge from the self-organization. There are no rules set aside. There is no, did not put God. He has given only the universe is created with a simple self-organization, simple rules. Then he can come up with the complex behavior. This is nature's gift to us. So Stuart Kaufman written a lot of books. He is one of the underrated physicists and a doctor. But this emergence, actually, if you understand who came up with the neural network, everybody is talking, everybody in Silicon Valley is actually a doctor. A doctor who came up with the neural network is a Dr. McCall. His name I'm going to tell you his name. His name is a mathematician. These two mathematicians and a doctor came up with a strange phenomena in mathematics and in computer science and biology. I tell you who is that. So if you see, his name is Warren McCall. He died in 1969. In 1898 he was born. In 1940, he was a true polymath. He's also a doctor. He's a mathematician, engineer. He wrote a lot of poetry. He did a lot of poetry. He is a poetry. So polymath is such an important aspect. That's why Vodi Stammer is supposed to come today. That is they started a MBA polymath program. What she did was he created a neuron, a mathematical neuron. He created it's called a McCall-Pitts neuron. Pitts is another scientist. They came up with a neuron that is inputs and outputs and the weights. So they came up with a mathematical description of the neuron and the neural network. Warren McCall, a doctor who started it, Columbia University doctor, who started the neural network, not a computer guys. So Warren McCall started this. Then Warren McCall, and this is a model. They came up with a model. What they did was, this called a McCall-Pitts neuron. It's called. It is a mathematical description of the neuron. Simply a simulation of neuron in the chemical signals. So what is this? But how do you describe this strange phenomena? A simple rules emerge into random things, emerge into random people produce brilliant ideas. How do they do that? Is there any mathematics? I was talking about quantum entanglement. Entanglement was, Einstein did not believe. He said that quantum entanglement is two particles influencing each other for the larger distances. It's a spooky actionary distance, he called. But he said that there is a secret pact. But in fact, there is a scientist who came up with a mathematical theory and he proved it. Through mathematics, you can prove whether there is a hidden pact is there or not. So mathematics is telling something strange. These two, what they did was Paul Eötvös, Alfred Renier, two Hungarian mathematicians, what they did was they said that something magic in the brain. I tell you what that magic in the brain. What he said was, if you put a random people together, random things came up with the answers that you see that if you put a random neurons, random things you put together, a randomness, all the neurons, all the graphs, if you create a graph, automatically without any influence, automatically patterns come out. No external influence. Some magical way, there's a pattern comes out. A thought comes out. A neurons, bunch of neurons have a different memories. All of a sudden, these chemical signals behave with a pattern. The Erdos linear graph theory produces a pattern. Pattern means a thought. A random neurons can produce a thought because he says that automatically this nature has a power to produce this randomness, creates a pattern, very magical way. It's a very fascinating concept. No external influence there. So Paul, this is a magic in AI, is a magic in brain. There is something there. That is a so, but that is a magic we call, but it is a sudden change. The simple rules become a coherent thought because it's called a phase shift. Is compared to the phase shift. Ice becomes a water. Steam becomes, water becomes a steam. These are all phase shifts. All of a sudden, one temperature, it becomes a different state of matter. That's called a sudden departure from the simple rule. It's a very, very, it looks easy to understand for us, but it is easy to see us. But if you wanted to explain the process, it's a very complex, in fact, mathematical way. So actually, ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT 4, if you listen to the scientists very, very carefully, they said it is something they didn't even understand why all of a sudden they're putting enough trained data, they put the data after data they did. One fine morning, ChatGPT 4 behaving like a human. It exhibited a human behavior. That is not from just a pure simple rules of data. It created some randomness to a pattern thought. It created some kind of an intelligence itself, a black box. There is a black box. We don't know what it is. What created that simple rule to some big shift in the intelligence, even in the computer. We don't know that logical process. We have no clue. This is Eric Schmidt is a Google CEO. When he was talking with Brian Greene, he was talking about even Stephen Wolfram, one of the top mathematicians. He was talking about they didn't have a clue. One fine morning, the ChatGPT is 4 writing like a human, behaving like a human, writing like it has a feeling. It is a very complex way it is showing, but that's very well and good. People are surprised. People love it. I love it, but there is some problem. I tell you what that problem is going to be. So graph theory, randomness to pattern is a simple patterns can exhibit a very complex phenomena. Randomness creates through a pattern. You have enough randomness, a threshold of data that creates a pattern, automatic. There's no other influence there. That is still, we don't know how it came out. That is, so if you want to select, for example, Coke, or that the decision comes out from that random thoughts, and it comes out, the thought process. So this is a lot of new theories are coming up. It's a global workspace theory, that how they wanted to emulate the brain. There's a global workspace, cognitive architecture. They're coming up with this. This is like they're trying to simulate brain. Okay, we are some extent, we are going there, but there is no that emergent behavior. Emergent behavior means all of a sudden strange phenomena, a rule, a thought comes out of nowhere. It is still, we can use it for our advantage. So they're coming up with that kind of idea. So how can we use emergent properties there? But the problem is emergence that so a life is a complexity comes between the low entropy and high entropy, a order to disorder. That's where the complexity. Still, I'm working on it. Some of the slides. So probably. So I'm going to show you a video game of life. How the simple rules can create a life. I'm going to show you a video. So just a minute. So give me 1 second. I'm going to bring that thing to you guys. Okay. It's called.
This is John Conway's Game of Life. The Game of Life consists of some squares in a space. They are the points in space, sometimes referred to as cells. And a point can be either on or off. Black is on, white is off. And you can also call it alive or dead. Now there's a simple rule that tells us whether or not cells stay alive or they die. And that's this. If a cell has if it has no neighbors that are alive, it dies. If it has just one neighbor that's alive, it'll die. So both of these will die. But if it has two neighbors that are alive, it'll stay alive. So look what happens to this cell. It's going to stay alive on the next moment of time. Of course, something else weird happened there, right? These two died, and these two became alive. They were born. Let's look at that again. This cell only has one live neighbor. It's going to die. Same here. It's going to die. So on the next generation, that one will die and that one will die. But there's a rule for birth, and the rule for birth is this. If a cell has exactly 3 live neighbors, it will be born. This cell has exactly 3 live neighbors, and so does that one. So these two will die, and that will be born. And you can see what's going to happen now. By symmetry, it's just going to go back to a horizontal bar, and we have now just an oscillator. We're continuing here with Conway's Game of Life, and let's look at this pattern. We've got a square, we've got a square, we've got a square. Those are all on. These points or cells are on or alive. They're energized. So, this cell has 2 live neighbors. It's going to stay alive. This cell has 2 live neighbors. It'll stay alive. This cell, the same 2 live neighbors. It'll stay alive. And let's look at this one. That one has 3 live neighbors, so it's going to be born. And that's what happens. It's born. Now, this is a stable pattern, right? Each of these cells has 3 live neighbors. It's alive, and so it's going to stay alive. The surrounding cells don't have enough energy. They don't have enough life around them to be born. So this is just going to be a stable pattern. I'm actually stepping through time, but nothing happens. So that's an interesting pattern. Let's look at this pattern now. Hard to say what this one's going to do, but look what's going to happen. We need to use computers to figure this out. If we had to calculate this by hand, that would be a little rough. It's going to change. Now you can see it looks like it's rotated itself right horizontally or vertically. And the same again, you see a reappearance of a pattern. And look at that. That's just back to where it was, except it's back to the same pattern that it was, except it's shifted one to the right and one down. That's a glider. It glides. It moves. Let's look at the glider in a little bit more detail here. There it is. There's a glider that's ready to glide. So here, let's go. Let's step it through time a little bit. There's the next moment of time, the next moment of time, the next moment of time, the next moment of time. You can see it's moved. It's kind of walked. But what are we talking about when we say it? What is the glider? I mean, the cells aren't moving. The points in space don't move. The points in space remain the same. They remain in their same relations with each other. They don't move around. All that's moved is the pattern of qualities right? The pattern of colors, black and white. And if you think of those as energy, then you've got a moving energy pattern. The glider is a kind of particle, but it's an energetic particle. It's like a vortex moving through space. It's a pattern of energy that moves through space, and because of its regularity, because of its invariance, because of the way its shapes repeat every fourth cycle, it seems to have its own independent existence. Now, some might say that the glider is a thing which emerges from space. Others might just say that the glider is a thing which supervenes on space. Perhaps it's a whole composed of properties or qualities, or perhaps it's some sort of system or pattern of energy, to use that terminology again. Let's watch it just to see that it's the pattern of energy that's moving. Cells aren't moving. There seems to be a distinctive layer of reality, a second layer of reality on top of space. And here it is. That's the glider moving through space.
So that is the Conway game of life. Actually, that is. Let me bring it back again. Yeah. That. Oh God, what happened? I'm going to bring all of them. So that's a Conway game of life. That's what you saw just now. What he died actually during the COVID. He died. What he says that is a simple rules emerge a complex life, a moving life. A simple rule: a cell with the two neighbors will be alive. Otherwise, if there is no neighbor, they die. Simple rule, and then becomes a life itself, and then it moves. That's the strangest phenomena. But you know what he said, that this is another mathematician, Stephen Wolfram. What he's saying is in this emergence, that what he's talking about, emergence, another layer of reality. We don't have access to it. What is Stephen Wolfram is a very powerful mathematician, is a mathematic I ran. What he said was there is a fundamental limit. You cannot predict until you compute it. So we don't know what the next steps are. Irreducible computational complexity. That means until you run that, whether that life is born, where is that life is going to move in the Conway game of life, is going to be big, is going to be like a human. We don't know until you run it all the way. So there is no way you can predict. We have a limitation on the prediction side. So our human mind cannot be predictable. We cannot predict that what is going to happen. So what is going to happen? So you have an AI, which is a black box. We do not know what it does. It's a very emergent phenomenon. It comes out. You are applying the rules of the AI to another complex system, another black box. We don't know what its behaving is. There is two complex system interacting each other. It can be good, it can be dangerous. We don't know. So black box AI is a doctor, and a human is a human. Two complex systems can produce very good things. They can predict, you are going to get a cancer. We can fix the cancer, or also it can produce dangerous proteins, can produce dangerous viruses, can kill the entire humanity. So that black boxes are still black boxes. There's a lot of things that are going on. They're trying to reduce the emergent behavior, that emergence. It's a very complex phenomenon. We do not know that black box is a truly black box. There is no explanation for the emergent behavior. So really, you take one complex system, one black box, and applying to another black box, and then saying that the flock of birds is emergent phenomena. Then when I said that, flock of birds say, no, you combine these two complex system, already one complex system, applying on another complex system. We do not know the results until you compute. You don't, until you produce something good or bad, we don't know what the results are. So when you produce some guy sitting down in somewhere in the world, in the in the garage, produces a dangerous virus that can wipe out the entire humanity. So we have to be very responsible, and this emergent behavior is one thing we don't understand it. So it is really, that is where we are going to the world of Ursula Lentine a little bit. They're trying to reduce that complexity a little bit, Lyme and all those new things. So one of the things is that consciousness is one of the emergent phenomena from humans. The Plato is a theory of forms, is one of the emergent phenomena, he says. So what he says that there are two ideal world and a world of principles. What he says, there are two worlds exist. He says the objects that you see, me and you and everybody else and all the chairs and all are the images of the reflections of the principles. They're not real. Think about that theory of what a powerful insight is a modern Bhagavad Gita is saying, Maya, saying the world of principles are real. The objects are just the reflections of those principles. Atma, in Hinduism, they call Atma, Paramatma, soul and super soul. That's what they call. These are emergent phenomena. We don't know, something happens between that. That phenomena is a universal phenomenon. Nirvana is like Buddhism talks about it, is an emergent self-realization, is some of those emergent behavior. So we have to still a long way to go on to understand this complexity. So we say AI is solution for all. We have to watch with a very, very careful way. We have to watch it. And let me bring Ursula back to the table. So this is, I'm still developing. I'm going to show you this, what a strange phenomenon of emergence. That is emergence. We need to, if we don't understand emergence, that is really, we don't understand the theory of consciousness, we're going to have a problems. So we cannot rush into it and produce this dangerous thing. Some of the things could be if we don't behave responsible. So AI, that emergent behavior, is we have to respect it. We have to check it step by what, unless you know something, you already did that with a hand, and then that behavior, then you can apply AI. But if you don't know what it is, it's going to produce some magical results. It could be good, it could be dangerous. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you for all watching. Let me bring Ursula and me back together. So that is the behavior of this is where is that? Yeah. So that, let me just bring her back to the, okay. So Ursula, so you saw that how we started the computers, and then simple, who wants to be millionaire, all the way we went to your field. We don't even understand it. So scientists went into the world of computer scientists, went into the different world. Because the computation itself became a mysterious phenomena here. What do you think?
I have so many things to say, but the first thing I want to tell you is I compliment you greatly, because it is a very complex idea that you're talking about, but the way you've simplified it and put in the graphics and everything, fantastic. Great job, because that's one of your gifts, because these things that we talk about, they don't have pictures. They're just ideas. So you're able to concretize them. All right. So there's so many,
yeah, but still sound problem some extent, but I can put up with it. Go ahead. That
okay.
there is a something comes out. I don't know. You're using
Is this better?
Yeah. No. Yeah. But yeah. Go ahead. Try.
Okay, because I have a speaker and then a second speaker. Is this better?
I think your feedback is coming up. Some kind of a noise coming out of the whole process. But anyway, yeah, we can hear. We can manage to hear
Okay,
you.
sorry. Let's jump over to when we talk about the particle and the wave. Right? That's a common conversation in quantum physics. I ask, well, what's the background of the particle and the wave? It's usually there's a background to something, right?
That itself is a very complex subject, because space, right? Space is behind it. But space is an emergent property itself. Space
Right.
is an emergent. So we
Right.
don't know. It's really complex. Getting into complexity to explain other complexity is we are just being look more stupid in my view.
Well, watch, because every example that you gave, there was a crowd, right? There's a flock. There's a group of ants. So that's the common thing that you said, okay, there's this activity, and then the group, not the one idiot who comes along, right? It's the group that has that mass consciousness. So what I'm saying, why I bring up the background for the particle and the wave, is there's something behind.
Right.
So when there is a group consciousness and the people don't know, right? They don't have the education, they don't have the answers, they don't have the calculator in their hand, but somehow whatever's behind the group can lean back into that, and that comes through.
Well explained. Very well.
Thank you. And in intelligence, when we talk about spirituality, for me as a metaphysician, as a quantum physics person that studies these things, my doctorate is in consciousness studies, which is the intersection of spirituality, quantum physics, and metaphysics. When we think of what is behind it all, we can say intelligence, right? Because you had the crowd, you had the birds, you had the ants. We can even go into biology and look at the cells, like your demonstration, the video. So cells, they work together, they don't work apart. When you introduce the idea of oneness, because that's what that is, when the flock of birds, even when a herd, right? A little rabbit bites the horse or something, and then the horse jumps up and the whole herd will run. And no one said, well, where are you going? They just say, okay, we got to go, let's go. And they know they don't go 10 of in this one and 5 over there. They all go in the same direction. So something is underneath, something is in the back, and we can call that intelligence. It's the undercoating of everything. And it's only in that kind of surprise thing, like, okay, what's the right answer? So people have to kind of go into a space of I don't know and then come up with something. So going into the space of I don't know is the quantum world of pure potentiality. So if we think we have something, we hold on to it. But if we don't have something, then we have more access to grab the right answer. So you use the word stupid very often in your description just to make it funny. But stupid is also simple, right? Because if somebody in the olden days,
no, I don't mean to be mean, but I just
right.
want to
It's just a funny word. But if you do stupid and simple, because in the olden days they used to say, "Oh, he's a simpleton," right? Because somebody who doesn't think a lot, doesn't have some brain damage or whatever. But if you look at simple in math, in science, in art, right? There's a sophistication in simplicity.
Did you use a microphone on the small microphone or something? When you move too much, when you don't move, I think it.
I'm so sorry. I wish this didn't have a problem, because this is the only time you're the only one who's like yours. Okay.
You never have a problem with this one before?
No, only on your show. I don't know if it's the program Restream.
The Restream program, probably, yeah.
Okay, so in that simplicity, now let's go over to oneness. Okay, so when we say oneness, which is a misnomer, because one means one, but oneness means many. Correct. Acting as one.
Correct.
So you and I, you're one person, I'm one person, but when we're together, we're activating a law in metaphysics called when two or more, right? So if you and I agree on something, it becomes real. So
oneness is such a powerful concept we are ending up. You're beautifully you well articulated what the science is saying is a oneness. We are coming to the oneness of many, exhibiting the behavior of the oneness. Is that very interesting? Yeah, that's a very, your brilliance that comes there, connecting those dots together, oneness and the consciousness and oneness of the complexity. How the
Right.
oneness comes out of the complexity
And
is a very.
and that goes back to that background that I'm talking about, because that's the oneness, right?
Well, yes, yeah, that's only right now we don't know. Scientists cannot say what it is an emergent phenomena. So that's it is struggle. It's science. This is the biggest mystery right now. Physics, they don't want to touch these subjects because it is into the la la land. So that's kind of a subject. One guy is Stephen Wolfram. I like him. He attempts to do certain things, but he came very close to that point that oneness tried to explain. But then he got stuck with it, computational complexity, so that you cannot do certain things. We don't have the access to it, so we don't have a lot of access to behaviors. A lot of times we don't have access to that fundamental nature of the nature itself.
Right, because that's the fundamental. Again, that's the background.
Yeah.
So when we look at the black box and we say dark matter, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is a very the black box is, I call, emergence. That emergence, we don't know what it is.
Mhm.
It just produces magical results, and you're applying one magic to the other magic, and then we explain what you don't know what the outcome is. So what I'm saying is that you cannot replace doctors overnight and then put the AI to become a doctor. We don't know what that outcome is going to be. So we know that humans can do. We know the tested results. So how far we can go? What are the tested process there? Then you can placebo. You're applying the placebo. After the placebo, you don't know if the placebo comes to dangerous or not. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
So,
and Elon Musk, he's the one who said, "Oh, this is dangerous. You better put some regulations on."
yeah.
And nobody knew how to, because there's not even, the government is not science. They don't know how to put regulations. So they're like, "Well, we don't know what to do."
Yeah.
Right now
Nobody knows.
we're all
Max
screwed.
Tegmark is another scientist, from a mathematician, a physicist from MIT. They did a 40 people, Nobel Prize winners, and all together signed a memorandum saying we need to slow down. We need to have regulations. Everybody knows that we need regulations, but nobody knows what the regulations should be.
Right.
So one regulation I can tell: you cannot replace a doctor overnight. That is going to be dangerous one. That I can tell you, and give some idiot on the planet to produce a bad virus, a dangerous virus, and then kill all the humanity together. That is definitely no.
I
That's
know
not.
it's a thought. So listen about this now. So intelligence, that background, if you want to be spiritual, you can call it God, right? Because some people. So if you take the dogma part of it and take the personality a part of it, and you say the creative force energy, the intelligence behind all things, is the intelligence, the original intelligence. Okay, OI. And then we are the human intelligence.
Yeah.
There's also plant and all the other things, but let's just call human intelligence. So original intelligence made human intelligence, and human intelligence emerged into artificial intelligence. But it's a copy of the copy.
Yeah, copy of the.
Right?
The another thing is, Stephen Wolfram says that when somebody is asking, he said computers have a self-awareness. He says yes. He said weather has its own intelligence. Yes, it knows aware of it. That's what he says. That is now AI is telling us, all this emergent behavior is telling us they may have their own self-awareness. We don't know yet. That is a big challenge.
They do, because the model is intelligence, and we are become self-aware. So in spirituality, they call it self-realization. And what is self-realization? That we are made of God. We're created from the intelligence. There's no separation. So I am basically God named Ursula. You are God named Ramana. And we have our human flaws. But what's keeping me alive is not my ego or my personality. It's the intelligence within me that's beating my heart and breathing my lungs. We created that thing. So now that thing has its own intelligence, and intelligence grows. That's the nature of intelligence, is to grow. So it's growing itself. Now, how can we, the problem that we can say that we do have is, how can we regulate the intelligence from going rogue, going wrong, going self-destructive, which is the nature of darkness, is to self-destruct, where the nature of intelligence is to grow. So maybe we can't control it, but can we regulate it so it stays away from darkness or destructive ideas?
You know, I think your wisdom is profound. We need, when you do the create AI regulations, we need people like you also to be involved in the AI regulations. It's not just a legal structure, it is a mathematical structure, it is a mind structure, it is something human structure, it is beyond. I think we need all people come back and produce that kind of people like you to be involved in this kind of a voice, to raise the voices, because you're always welcome. Ursula, you're always a treasure to me, a great friend. You know, we go a long way, and I miss Atlanta. I miss you, hang around with you. So thank you so much. You're always wonderful to have that your wisdom. Thank you so much. Good night, all of you. And then thank you so much. You want to say final words, Ursula?
Yes, just we all we're going through lots of changes all at the same time. So when people go through crisis, right? Lots of change, you can call it crisis. It causes the person to find their center, right? What can I count on? Can't count on the government, can't count on this, can't count on the banking system, you can't, okay, fine. What can you count on? And that's what we all have to ask ourselves. How you just said to me, Ramana, we can count on people that we care about, that we love, that we cherish. We can count on our relationships. We can count on what we believe to be true. We can count on that if I'm a good person and do the right thing, that my life's going to have more order into it than not. So when we inner resource, what I call inner resource, all the chaos can go on because it's in a cycle, and we'll eventually live through it. But if we can keep ourselves centered and keep in good relationships with other healthy people, we're going to make it through all of this.
Your wisdom is wonderful. I think. Thank you so much, Ursula.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Good night, all of you.
Thank you.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.